Yo, what's thinking everybody? Temumusic here, and welcome to my studio. Yeah, we're here in downtown Rochester. Rochester's around 5 hours northeast of New York City, 5-6 hours in a car. And yeah, let's get to it. I'll show you around, y'all. So first of all, we're right here in the entrance. And actually, you know, it's really important to have the feng shui locked down in your entrance. So when you come in, you can sit down, take your shoes off or put them back on before you leave. We got a spot to put your stuff up, put your shoes down and whatnot. One really cool feature that I have here in my little studio area is these smart lights. And so I have this little remote here where I can sort of dim the lights down and kind of create a vibe. And whenever I need to see stuff, I can bring it back up. But usually I like to have them pretty dim and just kind of create that vibe, you know, a good old studio vibe. Right here, this is like one of my favorite spots of the whole studio area. I call it the Central Music Conditioning System. And what's really cool about it is that as soon as you walk in the door, you can put on whatever you like. I got Spotify rolling over here. I got a vinyl player over here. I got a turntable here. And you can play out of these speakers, but what's really cool is that I have a software called Airfoil. And Airfoil is a software that creates its own audio system. And anywhere that there's another computer or iOS device, I can link to that device and play music from that device. So I can pretty much play music from this system to anywhere I want to within the whole studio area. Any set of speakers that I have an iPhone or computer hooked up to, I can play music from it. So I can walk around the whole space and I never miss a beat. I really love that. And I really love listening to vinyl in that way. I got a couple of vinyls, some of my favorites up here. Stevie Wonder's Inner Visions. This is like quintessential to have on vinyl. One of my favorites. Really great to listen to coming home from work or early day in the morning. You want to get some stuff done. Parliament, Funkadelic. One of my favorite albums as well. And this one here, Taz Band. Joystick, one of the sickest funk albums you have ever heard in your life. If you hadn't heard it, gotta make sure you check it out. Some more vinyls down here, a little collection of my own CDs. Hopefully I'm gonna get a CD and a tape player here so I can do the same thing with whatever I like. Got some of my own vinyl collections there. Just recently picked up some new vinyls. This one here, a little Batman joint, pretty cool. Old Bootsy Collins record, pretty cool as well. One of my favorite bands, Dr. Buzzard's original Savannah Band. This was quite an amazing find. And one thing I love to do when I get a new vinyl in the studio, I'll bring it over here to this little table, to my little cleaning station. So I'll put the record down, take this little coffee top thing here, put that over it, and then I'll spray the solution on the vinyl, wait a couple minutes, wipe it off, and it sounds almost as good as new. Pretty cool. And it's a really nice, soothing kind of thing to do. Really nice for the mind. That's the cleaning station. So I just got these guys here. These are some old school Clips hi-fi speakers. Hopefully I'll get them in the studio at some point. Speaking of the studio, let's go up in there. And here we are, folks. We are in the studio. So I guess the first thing I can talk about would be the room. This actually used to be 2 rooms, and I went and took down this wall in between the both of them. I actually took it down myself. That was pretty wild. I think I have some footage of that as well. And so yeah, that's the first thing. I took down the wall in between the 2 rooms, joined the rooms together. And all of the acoustic treatment that you see around here was built by myself. I built it myself, a little bit here and a little bit in my old space in New York City. And all of the treatment Pretty much all of it was sponsored by a company named Acoustic Fields, ran by a guy named Dennis Foley. So I have a few videos up on his channel talking extensively about you know, my experience with the acoustic treatment. It's very unique. So for all you acoustic nerds out there, so what you're seeing here are mostly wall panels, but contrary to what most people tend to do, none of these panels, there's no building insulation in this room at all. So what you see on the walls are foam. It's the same foam that you see on these big boxes here. And all of the big boxes, there's 8 of them in the room, 7 in the front, 1 in the back. All these big boxes here are a sandwich of layers of wood, air spaces, and the main ingredient, which is Dennis Foley's proprietary carbon pellets that he's made specifically for low frequency absorption. So all of these really big boxes are bass absorbers. They're extremely, extremely powerful. I haven't had one person come into this room or any other room with this acoustic treatment and not be impressed. As a matter of fact, not be blown away. I've just had recently just had a local studio owner. He has an amazing studio, Genelec speakers and the whole 9. And he came in to listen, and pretty much everything that he heard of his own projects, he listened to some of his own projects here on Spotify and whatnot, pretty much all lined up to what he heard in his own studio. And I have some very low budget Atom Audio speakers. So, you know, it's very much the room that's doing a lot of the magic here. And I owe a great deal of that to Dennis Foley's work and technology. So big shout out to you, Dennis. We're gonna move over to the speakers, speaking of which, the monitors. So it's just a pair of very low budget Atom Audio speakers, and I have a subwoofer down there below. Gets the job done. Kind of pretty much functions like a 3-way speaker for me. I pretty much kind of keep the sub on all the time, but it's very, very low. So it's just only extending the bass a little bit. But for the most part, gets the job done. You know, like I said, the mixture of the room treatment with these speakers, they are very good speakers, although they're not necessarily the best, but definitely very good speakers, especially for the money. Pairing that with a room that's treated as well as this, you just can't lose. So it sounds really great in here. I can't really complain. Of course, I'd love to experiment with other, you know, sets of monitors and whatnot, but as of now, for the money, works great. So down here, I have a Avantone mix cube. It's pretty much based off of the classic Orotone mix cubes from way back in the day. Wanted to make sure, you know, that I get a different kind of reference experience, something that sounds a little bit more boxy, a little bit closer to the kind of speakers you may hear in your phone or just a really cheap stereo system. So being able to mix with these, I usually mix on, I only have one speaker, so I only mix in mono with this and make sure everything just sounds really nice and leveled with this before I kind of do too much or do more work on the bigger speakers. So it's really great to have that reference there. Got the early M1 Mac. Extremely impressive. Probably the thing I'm most impressive by is its power usage, and the noise levels are just, I can't believe it. It's so quiet. A dream come true for a studio musician, a home studio kind of musician. It's so quiet I can hear the other hard drives next to it. So I'd say that's probably the thing I'm most impressed about. But it's also lightning fast. It's been able to do stuff that none of my earlier computers could manage. So for what it's worth, for the money, early M1 Mac, still a good deal. Of course, the later models are insane now, so I'll be saving up for that very soon. I have a Motu A28ES sound card. It's actually a pretty cool sound card. A couple of mic and line inputs, and pretty simple. Pretty much acts like your, you know, typical run-of-the-mill sound card. However, it gets very interesting on the back end. You can actually link this sound card and another sound card of the same type. You can link those two together via Ethernet, which makes things very interesting if you want to have a multi-tracking setup, you know, in different rooms, stuff like that. So you can have multiple of these types of sound cards talking together, speaking together, just via Ethernet. And so I found that feature very interesting and very useful in the future. Something that I could probably use even on stage at some point. And so that's why I decided to make the investment into Motu. Really, really cool stuff they make. And they keep it pretty simple, it's pretty reliable. Old school fader port from PreSonus. Definitely useful. I usually like to use it kind of right at the beginning of my mixing stage, just kind of really setting levels when I'm working on the mix cube. Just sort of I take a very visceral approach and almost close my eyes and just kind of set levels to start off with. So being able to use this is actually pretty cool. So I don't have to really look at the computer too much, and I don't have to use the mouse or the keyboard too much. I get sort of that, you know, old school analog mixer feel. So that's really nice to be able to use that a little bit. I don't use it too much. Sometimes I'll use it for some automation as well. Next up, we got my good old trusty Novation launch key. Good old dusty trusty. Look at this guy. Yep. As you can see, I don't really use all these knobs and stuff too much. I just more or less use it as a MIDI controller. Keep it pretty simple, but for what it's worth, Novation launch key, they make pretty cool MIDI controllers. You can do a lot of stuff with these, but I just don't really use too much of all those features. Mostly as a MIDI controller. Keep it simple. Speaking of keyboards, got the classic Roland AX7 up here. I've had this thing for years. This has been on tour after tour after tour with me, and show after show after show. It's been through a lot. As you can see, there's one beautifully white, ivory white key in the middle because that one was replaced and the other ones have been smoked. Anywho, one of my favorite centerpieces of the studio, that is this wonderful full-on suitcase Fender Rhodes. This was given to me by my late uncle, and he had this for ages. And by the time he gave it to me, it was very much in bad shape and needed a whole lot of love. And not long after he passed, my mother helped me out to go and get this guy repaired and get him sounding really good. So I was very fortunate to be able to work with a company called Vintage Vibe. They're located out in Jersey. They're one of the best. They're so good, they make their own electric pianos and clavinets. They really understand the anatomy of these instruments, and they really put their heart and soul into making sure that it is restored to its fullest capacity, as close to its original sound as possible. And they did an amazing job. It's pretty much all on the inside. Didn't have all of the budget to get all the wet bells and whistles done and stuff. Maybe someday. But what's most important, it sounds absolutely amazing. The vibrato on it is just chef's kiss, and I couldn't be happier with it. They have a older audio interface, also from Motu. Pretty simple, just a couple mics in, and under that I have a couple of patch bays, just to be able to switch things in and out as I please. Right under that I have a couple of preamps, one from Golden Age and one from Warm Audio. Really nice sounding preamps, really low budget, gets the job done. You know, crank some gain in your mics, especially for stuff like ribbon mics or Shure SM7B or something like that, something where you need a lot of gain. Under that I have an old broken Denon CD and tape deck, so hopefully I'll get that fixed some point, but it's actually a pretty good machine when it works. Power conditioner, some storage, that's pretty much it. On top of the big old rack boy is my trusty Talkbox setup. So a Talkbox, for those who don't know, is basically a trifecta of instruments and products. So first you have sort of the source. In my case, it's a keyboard, but it can be almost anything. It can be a guitar, a bass, whatever the source is, that's up to you. In my case, I'm using a keyboard. And from that source, it goes into an amplifier. This is a really tiny little amplifier called the 44 Magnum. It's a guitar amplifier. And so I'm I am feeding a signal into the amplifier, and from the amplifier, it goes into the talk box. The talk box is nothing more than a small speaker inside of a box. And there's a hole at the top of it, and then you attach a tube to that hole, and out of the tube comes a little bit of sound. And basically all you do, you just take that sound and shape it with your mouth, like so.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
And that's pretty much how the talk box works. So, a couple last things before we go. Got a couple things up here, up on my bass absorbers. One of my few awards, Scandinavian Soul Music Awards from 2014. A couple headphones up there. My biodynamics, very, very important. Got a few records that was released by myself and Sleepers, and also a couple of covers I've done with Tugboat editions. Look out for some more from these guys. A couple toys on the side, you know, gotta have my toys in the studio. And over here, I have a little assortment of some affordable mics, should we say. Probably the most expensive one is the SM7B. This one I use for a lot of vocals, especially when I just want to get something done fast. Maybe there's a lot of noise going on, and I most certainly use this for talk box. This is amazing for talk box. Over here we got the Bumblebee. See, condenser mic. Sounds pretty decent. Very nice price, and sounds even better on a preamp. Definitely pick it up if you want to grab something within a low budget. I have the T-Bone RB500. RB standing for ribbon. This is a ribbon mic. Ribbon mics are a little different than your average mics that most people might be used to. But actually, your first early mics were, in fact, ribbon mics. So this is based off of a really old school model from back in the day. That said, it's a cheap mic, but it does give a different sort of tone than your typical condenser or a dynamic microphone like the SM7B or a stage mic. Just picks things up a little bit differently, and it's really nice to use on things like percussion or even background vocals if you want to give a different feeling. Another cheap natty mic, nice and simple. This thing actually sounds pretty nice on a preamp when you crank it up. I use this often on my Golden Age preamp. Sounds actually really nice. Just grabbed this guitar from a friend of mine who was moving out of his old apartment. Hadn't got to play it yet. Probably won't be playing it anytime soon, but you know how that goes. Gotta have one in the studio though. And last but not least, this. Another cheap mic. So folks, I keep it pretty simple here. Nothing all that special. Not too many crazy doohickeys. I keep it very rudimentary. Most of the magic is in the software. It's in the computer. And it's also very much in me. The stank, of course. All right, let's move on, folks, because this doesn't just stop with the studio. It actually goes on a little bit more. Over here, I have a separate room that's only dedicated to cables, because of course you gotta have a cable room. So lots of cables, a lot of stuff that just a lot of electronics and whatnot that I'll keep here. Some percussion that I'll keep around in here as well, just stuff so things are not ringing inside of the studio room. But that's pretty much it. We got a really cool mural here done by my wife. So originally this was gonna be my wife's art studio, one of her rooms. Well, things changed a couple of months down the line. I'll explain a little bit later. However, this is done by my wife. We're gonna see a little bit more of her stuff in a couple minutes. All right, so next up is one of my favorite rooms. I spend a great deal of time in this room. This is the theater room. And in here, you can chill out, sit down, watch a little movie or something like that. You know, chill between takes if you want to just take a break or something like that. So you're not like in the studio all the time. You can actually have a break. And so it's really nice having this room here where you can just sort of decompress every now and then. And I got a couple PlayStations. I got 2 PlayStations there behind the couch. I got another Xbox. I got an old Xbox and an old Nintendo Wii as well. You can have up to like 5, 6 people playing some video games. I got a projector up here, really cool set up here, and yeah, I can't complain. I love it. So yeah, this is a room we spent a great deal of time in, just chilling out, listening to music, watching a movie, or playing some games. Yeah, theater room, gotta have one in the studio, obviously. All right, so one thing that I didn't tell you all is that this is a little bit more than just your average music recording studio. This is in fact more a creative studio. It's a little bit more holistic. And what you didn't see in the beginning of the video is that we actually have double the space here. This is my wife, Signe's showroom. So here in this room, she gets to pretty much display all of her latest works, some of her older works as well, and some of the clothing that she'll do some designs on and some prints on. She's got some really cool earrings that she's done here as well, pretty much all hand painted, a couple of 3D printed stuff as well. Some bolo ties, some cool prints on the other side, just full of all her awesome work. Folks, if you want to learn more about what she's doing, you can go to www.hausofsig.com. So that's house spelled H-A-U-S of Sig. Like this. Check her out. Make sure you give her some support. Did I mention I have a piano here? Yes, I have a piano here, folks. Can you imagine the pain it was to get this sucker in here? But it sounds okay. Got to get it tuned soon. So moving on to Signe's studio room. This is where she works on her latest hits. Say hi, wifey. And yeah, I mean, you know, not too much to it. She keeps it pretty simple here, kind of like me. This is where she works on some of her earrings, stuff like that. Moving on down here, we have the studio kitchen. A very, very important area of a studio. I mean, you gotta have some sort of a kitchen. A little refrigerator or something like that, right? So we keep some snacks here, some things for, you know, clients to eat or whatever if we're hanging out, especially if we're gonna spend a lot of hours here as well. We'll just make sure we can save some money and, you know, stash some food and snacks here instead. But, you know, if you wanna like cook like a whole meal here, that's not really that easy. Unless you get a special device called My Ninja air fryer. Yeah. It's an air fryer called the Ninja. Folks, this thing puts it all together. You can make all kinds of stuff in here. And so, yeah, we've been able to save a great deal of money, not eating out too much, and being able to cook here in the studio. And so we got pretty much everything we need. Air fryer, we got a water boiler, toaster, blender, microwave, 2 small fridges. And then what's really cool, since we don't have running water inside of our studio and it's inside of our suite, I came up with a little idea where I mix in some camping products. And basically what you have here is one of these flexible sinks, and that's sitting inside of a bucket. And down here is a tank of water, a little 7 gallons of water, and a little device that I can use to get some running water. So it's basically a portable shower, portable sink system. And voila, there you go. Pretty cool. So it's a way for us to kind of, you know, wash some dishes and not to make too much of a mess here. And just empty the water out in the bathroom, easy. In this room, not too much going on here. This is sort of a sewing room. Signe's trying to work out exactly what she wants to do with it. But for right now, she kind of just works on some ideas with sewing and textiles. Got some of her clothing that she's been working on here as well. In the next room, it's pretty much like Signe's office kind of room. Any of her finished garments will go in here. She has a little printer set up and a scanner and all that stuff. She'll do some computer work in here every now and then, store some papers and other things for her artwork. But it's pretty simple in here, not too much going on in here either. But down here though, starts to get kind of interesting. So here got a whole workshop back here. So this is where I'll keep a crap ton of lumber and tools and other small doohickeys that I could use for the rest of the studio suites. And yeah, it's been quite a blessing to have a whole entire workshop area. You know, I would, you know, make all my panels here lately on all of the those big boxes that I'd been working on. I'd finished them up here, so it's been really nice to have that extra space and be able to take scrap wood and store it somewhere if I want to be able to use it for something. Yeah, it's been really, really useful having this. And I've been learning a lot, you know, about the art of carpentry and working with tools and stuff like that. It's been very, very enlightening, this whole journey of learning in that way. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with being able to have this space. And it's come a long way. This space has come a long way. There used to be 1, 2, maybe about 3 walls here. And when we took over this space, we took over the space, this part of the suite. We took over the space really quickly, like a really fast turnover. And the tenant that was here before us had taken down 3 walls and took in all the walls and drywall and studs and everything and threw it in a room. And we had been cleaning this place up for months. And so we finally got it to this point. So I'm really happy with it right now, but there's still a long way to go. That's pretty much it for this good old workshop. But it gets even cooler because that tenant that used to be here in this side of the unit was a gym. Used to be a gym. And when they left a whole bunch of stuff, and I gladly took it. And so, just by accident, I've got a whole gym in here. Got a whole studio gym, and it has been amazing being able to have your own gym. You can scream. And you can throw stuff around, and you can work out half naked if you want to, and you can say all kinds of wild stuff. And yeah, it's quite a privilege to have your own gym. So we got all the basics. I got a squat rack here that I can also lower the weight down here to do barbell rows, right? Or put the rack up here, put the barbell up here for squats. I have a shoulder press rig up here, shoulder press seat here. So you put the bar up here, you sit down and shoulder press up. And then I got an incline barbell press here as well, incline bench press. Very useful to have, all very useful things. Sometimes I'll take the bar out into the hallway and do some deadlifts or do some other kinds of squats, other kinds of exercises. So it has been really, really, really cool here being able to get into the studio, go into the studio, work in the studio, take a break, jump into the gym, spend an hour or so, jump back, hang out in the theater room and just really zone out and just be yourself, you know. It's been really, really cool. All right, everybody, that's pretty much it for the tour. I hope you folks enjoyed. And if you got any questions about anything you saw in this tour, any of the artwork or any products that you might have saw laying around in the studio, let me know. Any questions, comments, just shoot. I will also leave some affiliate links to some of the products below, to some of my favorites, and maybe some Amazon affiliate links as well. And folks, I will leave another link to another video talking a little bit more about the challenges of the space. I definitely have some challenges here, and I'm at a point now where I can really use some help, some assistance from as many people as I can gather to kind of take this to the next level. And so I will definitely leave another link for that in the description. Look out for that. But until then, folks, I hope you folks enjoyed. I certainly did. And until then, until the next time, may the stank always be with you. Keep it funky, y'all. Peace.